Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go-to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. Our next guest is a visionary leader reshaping the conversation around aging. You got it, the hush hush. As the founder of Top 60 Over 60, our next guest is on a mission to transform aging into a societal limitation into an opportunity. And that opportunity is waiting just for you. She challenges outdated retirement norms, exposes the real impact of ageism, and advocates for age diversity in the workplace and beyond. She is a sought after speaker, educator, and thought leader in longevity. You know what? She's been featured on podcasts, radio, TV, and major publications. Her recent TEDx talk surpassed 100,000 views in just 1 month, proving the world is ready for a narrative that is way beyond aging. Get ready for an eye-opening conversation as Helen Hirsh Spence inspires us to embrace longevity, literacy, and rethink what it means to grow older in the 21st century. Welcome, Helen. You are amazing. I cannot wait to hear about this story.
Well, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk about something that I'm absolutely passionate about.
So something had to happen to get you to become the entrepreneur that you are today and on the topic that you're talking about. Do you mind sharing that with us?
No, I don't mind at all. On the contrary, it's a pleasure. So the long or the short version, I'll give you the medium version. How's that? So in my mid-60s, I was doing a lot of not-for-profit work. So I had been a high school principal, the head of a girls' school. So my background was in education, which I was passionate about as well. I love maximizing the potential of students, whether it was staff. Now what I'm doing is trying to help older adults realize their own potential. And so I was doing this work, and suddenly in my mid-60s, I started feeling less than fulfilled. And I was frustrated because I didn't see the end of a lot of the projects that I had been working on. And so I decided, okay, what's this all about? I started losing confidence. I started realizing that I was becoming a bit more invisible than I had been before. I noticed that old clerks in stores and whatnot would disregard me when I spoke, or they'd call me dearie or sweetheart. I'm not your sweetheart type. I'm not your little, don't call me young lady. I know I'm not. But that's what I was beginning to get. And I didn't know what this was all about. So it was causing me to think about, who I am at this stage of life. I realized through listening to the radio and reading extensively that what I was experiencing was what's referred to as self-directed ageism. I had internalized all of these negative beliefs about growing older, and I swallowed them. I literally thought that you couldn't teach an old dog new tricks. I believed it. There's no reason why I shouldn't. I mean, it's a message I'd been given ever since I was, a little girl, right? So when I recognized what it was, and then I had the chance encounter again with one of my former students who introduced me to social entrepreneurship, which is something that did not exist in my era. I thought, whoa, this is fantastic. This is fascinating. Took courses, and I decided to start my own business at age 67.
Yay. Oh my God.
Yeah. And so that's what I've been doing for the last several years. I've been learning about entrepreneurship. So I consider my business, which is like a niche consultancy where I do speaking and writing and so on, like a self-directed MBA. I mean, I was always a leader in my various roles, but I had other people helping me. I had other people who would, work with me on, putting together newsletters or, and besides, a lot of this took place before computers, you know? So, I mean, it was a completely different world. So I've had to learn, I can't tell you how much I've had to learn because I'm alone. I'm an older solo entrepreneur. And so I'm in the process of putting things together for the first time very often and just learning and growing and, figuring it out. So it's been an adventure.
I mean, just learning social media by yourself in every aspect, and as many social media platforms there are, I mean, it's a whirlwind. I mean, even the 20-year-olds, I mean, they're like, when you go to school for social media now, they go, oh, you just take one platform and you play with that one platform and learn it. They know deep down that it's hard.
It is hard.
Why they're telling them that. Unfortunately, as a solo entrepreneur, we need to find out where our jam's coming from.
Exactly. It's interesting you should mention that because, first of all, one of the most difficult things I had to do is to learn to speak about myself. I mean, my generation was taught you don't brag or talk about yourself. You role model what it is you believe. Those are your values, right? So it took me about a year and a half before I could put anything out publicly. I was so sure that this was not for me. I couldn't do it. But then I realized I had to do it. If I have a message and I wanted to get out there. And so everything that I've done has been organic. I've never paid for any advertising. My followers follow me. I have, thousands of connections, lots of readers. Great. But I know, and it's been suggested to me that I get on Instagram and I can't be everywhere. So I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I post a bit on other places, but where I respond and engage is on LinkedIn. So, but I have to say, I've tried a lot of the different platforms. I can see the benefits, and I see other people benefiting from that. I have to stop somewhere, and so I'm learning.
It's a learning curve.
Yeah, I'm learning.
And I mean, social media is great. I struggle with social media and I can do it. It's just I struggle with it because there's just so many platforms and so many places people can find us in those venues and figuring it out and everything. Direct messaging to private messaging to, actually just doing a post.
I know. And for a post, you need to have an understanding of, let's say, MailChimp or what do I use now? What's it called? Can't remember. One of those where you can post multiple posts.
Okay. You're looking at automation platform.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things to learn, and it just slipped my mind what it's called. And it just makes me so angry when I can't remember. It's right there in front of me.
We know what it is. We understand. It's that multi place that you can
Buffer. It's Buffer.
You use Buffer right now?
Okay. Yeah, I switched to Buffer, but I was on another platform, but it was more costly. So, but that's what I'm saying. Everything has to be analyzed and to see where you can maximize the output. So that's where I am.
And I love the fact you brought up of the getting out there and actually doing a video. That is one of the hardest things for the age group of women, especially 45 to beyond, because what do we always tell? Don't toot your own horn.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's not called bragging anymore. It's not the same, but I do find it really, really challenging to speak about myself. So I am thrilled that you mentioned that my TEDx talk, which was a major undertaking. I mean, people probably don't realize, but you have no slides, you have no confidence monitor, you have nothing. It's pure memory. So I challenged myself last year and I did it, and it was released in July, and I had over 100,000 views. And that was a confidence booster, I can tell you.
Yeah, I mean, that right there just shows that what you're doing is just a need.
It's definitely necessary, and especially for older women or women. And more significantly, I want you to know, Angel, that I really think it's an important message that young people learn that despite what they may think, if they're lucky, they will age too. And aging is just, living. And we have to stop thinking about it in terms of a negative bias. It's not about frailty. It's not about fragility. It's not about vulnerability. On the contrary, it's about strength. It's about growth. It's about opportunity. It's the best thing that can happen to us is to get to a point in life, and it usually hits around age 60, where we shed all of those societal expectations and become authentic. Excuse me.
Who we are, who we truly are. And that's it. And I mean, I tell everybody my age all the time. Yes, I just turned 61. I am happy to be it. I am excited. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I do too. I'm 75 now. I'll be 76 in the summer. And I'm proud to be able to say it, because I've gotten over all of that negative bias. I don't need to be shamed about growing older. I see it as a privilege and an honor, because you have so much more wisdom. Life experience can't be replaced with anything.
Yeah. And I think we spoke about this right before we started recording, that I wanted to do this for over 20 years. Yeah. And you said the same thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I did. And it's keeps evolving too, what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. But really, I want everybody to understand that every generation has a tremendous value. And what we really need to do is stop denigrating other generations, stop putting down younger people or older people or whatever. Listen to them, talk to one another. The only way we're going to overcome ageism, and ageism is an epidemic. I don't know if you're familiar with the World Health Organization report on global report on ageism. It says that 1 out of 2 persons worldwide is prejudiced against older people. I mean, ageism exists as well against younger people, especially young women who are told, oh, you're too young to do that, or, you haven't had enough experience. But it's predominantly against older people. And then we have gendered ageism, which combines sexism with ageism and combines to undermine older women, which is one of the reasons. So the beauty industry has done so much to undermine women aging by putting out all of these anti-aging products. In other words, by saying anti-aging, there's talking about death,
Yeah.
And we should be putting out pro-aging products, because you're not going to stop aging. It's going to happen. Things are going to change. And if we could accept that better, the beauty industry wouldn't be doing as well as it is. It's a $64 billion industry annually in the United States alone.
Major.
If we, look at what happened during COVID, many of us went gray. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, I had black hair. It was browner. But I mean, thanks to COVID, I saw the light everywhere.
Well, I've been blessed. I mean, I've had red hair, but I'm waiting for the day they say once you go gray, you're going to go like this gorgeous silver gray. So I'm waiting for it.
You're lucky. That's wonderful. But I mean, it shouldn't matter. Women, and I've seen, a trend now for younger women accepting the gray and going gray, and they're beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, the color.
They are. And I'm going to go back a minute about what you said about age.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and about every generation. Mm-hmm. I love what you said, because every generation can impact us and help us along the way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So like, do I understand social media? Yeah. Do I want to take the time to do social media 100%? Mm-hmm. No, but do I do the back end of it and the messages and stuff? Yes. However, I use those 20-year-olds to do my social media for me, guys,
Good.
because they are savvy. They love that. They're good at it. Look at what each person has that behooves them, that can bring something better to you, to the society, to the world we live in, because they all have something. And I think that's where you were going with that each generation has something that benefits.
Yeah, I mean, I just to even step back further, like this whole generation, all these differences in the names of millennial and Gen X and whatnot, those are all marketing devices. They didn't exist before. And now, and they're not true generations either. Generations usually are about 20 years or so. But we call things based on what advertisers have come up with. And unfortunately, what they've also come up with is a real focus on young people. So we've lived in a very youth-centric environment in marketing world and advertising. It's only recently that we're seeing, mixed race people in advertisements, or a few older people as well, or somebody who's differently abled, for instance, in ads or in marketing. That's something that's relatively new. But what marketers and advertisers haven't quite grasped yet is that we have undergone and we are undergoing a demographic shift to older that is dramatic and has never been seen in the world before. So we have more people, I can talk about the United States and Canada, that are over the age of 65 by 2030 in the United States than you have children who are, who are teenagers. In Canada, it's been that way since about 2016. We have more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 14. There are fewer children being born. The average birth rate has declined from, like, in the 1950s, where you'd have 4 or 5 children per woman per. Now you have 1.6 in the United States, 1.3 in Canada, and the replacement value for our population is 2.1. Yeah. So the reality is that we don't have a whole cohort of young people coming up behind us. We need to take advantage of the expertise and the experience of some of the older people who are still around in the workplace in their 50s and 60s, find different ways of engaging them, giving them more flexibility, different kinds of benefits, because the reality is, whether you want to believe it or not, we don't have the masses behind us to replace us. Yeah. So the reality is that, 20 and 30-year-olds, and even you and I, we're still working in our 60s and 70s. That's going to be the norm in the future. And it should be, because we are living 20 to 30 years longer than we did back in the last century, in the middle of the last century. So there's so much change. We talk about climate change. We talk about AI. The other big shift is the demographic shift. And yet we're not paying enough attention to it, which is one of the reasons that I want this message to get out there, that when you're younger, it isn't all about not being able to do something. There is no expiry date on productivity, on curiosity, on creativity, on innovation. In fact, all of the research shows that as you get older, you have something called crystallized intelligence. And so combine that with younger generations. I talk with my hands, I'm sorry. And you've got incredible opportunity for productivity and increased market growth.
So, okay, let's talk about one other subject that's so near and dear to my heart. We are living longer.
That's right.
And the fact is because we are living longer, all right, our generation hasn't had to deal with some things because parents and grandparents weren't around.
That's right.
So we are chartering new territory here as well. Yeah. And even my age, we're helping our parents.
That's right. Yeah.
And our parents didn't have to do that because their parents didn't live as long.
That's right.
So we're not only still working past a certain point, we're caring for other people as well.
Yeah, you're caring very often older, your age group could be caring for older parents as well as grandchildren, you know? So that's the reason why we have to change the way in which we design work for people. So when you're young, as a young mother, you need time off as well. And as an older person, you may need it in middle age to take care of your parents. There's often reasons why flexibility would benefit every generation. The truth of the matter is we have a hell of a lot more in common with our counterparts who are younger and older than we may think. That yes, there are differences. Yeah, my grandchildren don't understand how to use, a dial-up phone. But most teens don't either. But the truth of the matter is they don't need to. But I need to know more about social media or, the different types of games that they're playing now on the computer. I just want to say that some of the most significant changes or transformation in my life have occurred thanks to students of mine who encouraged me, recognizing that I had the guts to do something different. One was in high school. This young woman came back and I was the principal. She said, Mrs. Spence, can I come and speak to you? She had just gone climbing and hiking in Nepal. And I said, oh, I'd love to do something like that. She said, well, why don't you? She set me up and I went the next year and I trekked alone through the Himalayas. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. And
that had to be fun.
It was amazing. And the other thing was, as I said to you, was being introduced by this other student of mine who told me about social entrepreneurship, brought me to what's called a social innovation center, exposed me to social impact investing, taught me a whole hell of a lot. And we're still friends. So, I mean, all of these relationships just goes to show you, I have been mentored by younger people, and I know I've mentored them as well. It's reciprocal. It goes both ways, and it has to these days. It doesn't work to be the authority and the expert as the older person. We have just as much to learn from younger people as they do from us.
Yep. So you were talking a minute ago about how we take care of the different generations, even and those. How do you feel that we're balancing them, or is there not a balance?
I don't believe in work-life balance, frankly. It's always been unbalanced. You just take, you make the priority, you choose priorities based on what you're able to do at the time. I remember, so my husband was one of the first men to stay at home with our kids when he got parental leave with the Canadian government. This is in the 1980s, I want you to know. So I was able to pursue my career in a way that I probably wouldn't have been able to had I had to juggle the same way, full teaching load, principling, and so on. It would have been very, very difficult, but I didn't have to feel as guilty because he was there for the kids always. I'm the one who missed out on some of those years. And now I have a chance to see it again with my grandchildren. I'm lucky. But the point is, they never suffered, but I did. But nonetheless, I also suffered with the comments that I got from other men saying, well, what's the matter with your husband? Is he gay or something? I'm talking 1980s, 1990s comments like that. But, you move on, you get over it.
Yeah. I actually call it the dance because it's a total ebb and flow movement because not every day is going to be balanced.
No, it isn't. I don't think it's achievable. And I think it's one of those false dreams that we all aspire to. However, we can make choices. I mean, there's certain things that are within our control, and we just have to take control of those things. So
I love the false dreams.
Yeah. I think we've been, that's the other thing I would say is I was in a big hurry, but I want younger people to understand they don't need to be in such a hurry. They are going to live so much longer, thanks to medical advances, technology, vaccines, the type of care we have today. There are all sorts of reasons why we can live longer, which also means that our careers, as I had mine, which was dedicated to education in one industry, is not going to be the norm anymore. Most of those kinds of jobs don't even exist. We used to have commitment on the part of employers to employees. That doesn't exist anymore. No. Employees were also very, very loyal to their employers. We can't expect that of young people today because they don't have the same kind of commitment in return. So there are things that are changing. So I like to refer to it as portfolio careers. Young people need to realize that they can stop and take like a gap year or a sabbatical in their 40s, go back to school, learn something new, do whatever it is that they always wanted to do, but maybe they thought they couldn't do, because we have many different opportunities now through our longer lives.
And I believe that in the 60s, 70s, 80s even, they can go back to school.
Oh, yeah. But you don't even have to go back to school. That's what employers have to learn, too. They need to professionally train people to switch, tracks when they're in certain jobs so that they can stay there and still, contribute that corporate institutional memory. There are all sorts of things that, can be done in order to facilitate older people who want to very often stay in the workforce, not only for financial reasons, but for social reasons, because they'd be isolated and on their own. You and I, we're people. We want to be around people.
I know someone who actually takes the same Spanish course every single semester. Oh, that's crazy. And he's in his 70s. He takes the same Spanish course. It's advanced Spanish because he can speak it fluently, whatever. But he always learns something else.
Sure.
In that same class. And so he makes sure that he's enrolled in that class. And I think that's really cool.
Wonderful. Yeah. But you mentioned retirement in the intro. I just think we need to speak about that briefly, because retirement is a concept that was established in the 1930s when the average lifespan was 62. And so if you lived to 65, you got Social Security, right? That was a reward for living that long. How realistic is that today when our average lifespan here in Canada is, it's about 82, in the United States it's about 78, but it's always creeping up. So 20 extra years and we're still talking about retirement. It's absurd. You wouldn't even want to play golf for 20 or 30 years,
My husband would.
Oh, would he? Okay. There you go. It works for some people, but a lot of people realize that they need to have a purpose in life. And I mean, the purpose can be, taking their dog for a walk. That works for a lot of people, but for some people it's not enough. So, and the other thing we know about, longevity today is that people need to be socially engaged. And one of the best places to do that is either work or volunteer or, and somehow get involved in hobbies or whatever. Those things are really important as we get older.
Or start your own business.
What the hell, right?
What the hell? Why not? All right. What advice would you have for a woman who is just thinking about starting their own business and they're in their 60s and 70s?
Go for it. Yeah, go for it and look for support. Look for other people who have either done something similar or are doing something similar or want to join forces, because it's a lot of work to figure out by yourself. So I would say, you could do it by yourself, but if you can engage others to work with you, it might be a little bit easier. But I'd say by all means, do it. Try it and fail. I can't tell you how many times I've switched gears. It's scary.
I'm the queen of failing forward.
You have a rival right here.
Yeah. And I mean, I believe what you're saying is for all generations.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Do it. And it isn't for everybody. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. I really think you need a lot of courage. You need to be resilient. You need to be able to take a lot of negative feedback and still go forward. And, you have to be a risk taker. I think of myself as being a calculated risk taker, but I'm also privileged because I'm not depending entirely on this as my only means of survival.
Right.
And that's the financial piece is big. You need to consider that seriously. and make sure you've got what you need in order to make a go of it.
100%. And knowing what you've learned so far in business, okay, not in your regular principal teaching job, but just in business, would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self?
You know, what would I tell myself?
Your 18-year-old self.
I'd say, you know what I'd tell myself? Say, don't be so impatient. Take your time. I'm impatient. I've always been. I always want results. I always want to be healthy tomorrow. I want, you know, I'm keen. And I also, the other thing I tell myself is, don't pile too much on your plate at the same time.
Yeah.
Move slowly.
Yeah. I want it now too. So I understand.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I mean, it's one of my major flaws.
Me too. All right. What's one key strategy that has helped you advance your career? Like, what is something you've done?
It's a good question. I think I've always just looked ahead, looked forward, been optimistic, hopeful. That's the way I feel about aging too. And that's what I want other people to understand, that it's the prime time in your life. It's not what you've been told, perhaps, you know? So look forward, see what the possibilities are, take advantage of the opportunities. That's what I've always done. And make sure that you network with people who can help you.
Yeah. So the networking key is so important, and the fact of looking forward. So my brain just automatically works like this. I'm just going to put an age on it. I go to 105 and I work backwards. So I have this much time. What could I actually accomplish?
Right.
That is where my brain goes.
Oh, I know what I want to accomplish in the next little while.
Okay, tell us.
Oh, okay. Well, I started out with the concept of top 60 over 60, and I trademarked it. I wanted to host an event that showcased the contributions and the value of older adults over 60. And that's what I want to do. I want to find somebody who will put it together with me, sponsor it, so that I think the time is absolutely perfect now. I was a bit ahead of my time in the 2000 teens. Nobody was thinking about older, getting older, but now's the right time. And I think it would be inspiring for young people to see pictures and stories of people who have done incredible things. I'm looking at the extraordinary, ordinary individual. I am not looking at the richest, the best, artist, nothing. I'm looking at the person who's made a difference in not only their own lives, but beyond, as role models for young people.
Oh, that's amazing. I think that would be really good.
So if you know anybody who wants to invest, it doesn't have to cost a lot, but it'll take some time to put it together. And I wanted paired, that means we could have podcasts about it. We could have articles in newspapers. We could have a documentary. There are all sorts of opportunities as spin-offs, but all of these, banks and insurance companies, they all should start, pharmaceuticals should start recognizing it's called the longevity economy. We need to invest in the longevity economy, which are all of those products and services that we are going to need now and in the future to accommodate a much older population.
So I love that for your future plans. Do you have any other future plans and goals?
Yeah, I'm in the process of writing a book about the entrepreneurial mindset for older adults, and it's being edited. So I hope it'll come out later this year.
That's exciting. That is really exciting.
It is. Yeah.
You have to let us know when it comes out so we can put it, because we're going to end up having a book area for just our people who have been featured inside. Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
That would be great. Yeah.
If you had a superpower for just one day, what would it be?
I guess it would be to divine the future.
Wow.
I think I talk about growing older. It would be nice to know that I can do all the things I want to do still, you know.
Definitely. So what's one fun fact about you that not a lot of people know about?
Well, I mentioned about climbing mountains, right? I summited Kilimanjaro. I went off alone to Bhutan and to India and to the Himalayas and worked and stayed there for about 2 months.
That was cool. I mean, you've done cool things.
I have. But so here's the cool fact. I speak 4 languages fluently. But people know that about me. So that's not so much fun. But I can listen in on conversations when people don't realize that I understand what they're talking about.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
So wait. Okay. So that is one of my goals, is to learn multiple languages. So how did you go about doing that?
My parents were European.
Okay. So
and for their survival, no, they never spoke anything but English. But in high school, I started, what they did do, instead of sending me to camp, they sent me to the French part of Switzerland when I was 12 years old alone. I would never do that today, but based on the handwriting of people who responded to my mother's ad in a Swiss newspaper. And they sent me there. I didn't know any French at all. I spent a month there. I came back, went to 7th or 8th grade, had a core French course. Then I went back the next summer. I learned it through living it. Then I took courses in Spanish, and in college I studied and majored in French and Spanish. The truth was, I saw it as a vehicle to travel. I love to travel. And I don't like to impose my language on other people. That way I could learn more about them if I could understand and speak with them in their language. And then at university, I added German to the mix. And
that is really cool. I'm sorry. That is cool.
And so I went to Germany. I lived there for a while. So I've lived in all of these countries now too, for periods of time to perfect it. So, but I started always just, with a course or something.
And that's what I've always been told, just the good of the country, you'll be immersed into it.
It helps if you have a little background in the language. That's my experience. Yeah.
Okay, well, that would work. So I could get a...
Yeah. But you have to go alone, Angel. You have to go alone, not with your husband.
That's fine. I can do that.
And I'm sure you can.
All right. Books. What would be your favorite book?
That's really hard. I mean,
I know you're a teacher. You're a reader.
Oh, yeah, but forget about the teacher. I haven't been a teacher in so long, I can't even remember. But one of the books that I've read, not in the immediate past, but not that long ago, was Nightingale by Kristen Hanna.
Okay.
And it takes place during the war. And I think it had to do with sisterhood and resistance and courage and all sorts of characteristics and plots that I admire.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right. What about a go-to favorite song that gets you moving and grooving?
Well, that's not hard. Tragically Hip.
Tragically Hip. Who sings that?
Pardon? No, they're the group. Ahead by a Century.
Ahead by a Century. Oh, well, that's perfect for you.
Ahead by a Century, yeah. Because it's a bit of nostalgia, but it's about the transformation as you go through life. And yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to listen to that. All right.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Your favorite quote?
Probably, it's one that I used in my TED Talk. I think I used this one by David Bowie, something like, aging is an extraordinary process whereby you become the person you always should have been.
Wow. That one's amazing.
Something, it goes like that, but it's a David Bowie quote. Yeah.
And how can our audience stay connected with you?
Oh, wonderful. Well, I have a website, which is written out, and I hope you put it in the notes, top60over60.com. So all written out, no numerals, top60over60.com. And there's a section there that says, contact and sign up for our newsletter, which comes out every 2 months or so. And they can get in touch with me that way. I also am on LinkedIn under Helen Hirsh Spence and top60over60.com.
That's amazing.
So
All
I hope
right.
to hear from them.
Yeah, that'd be great. Get her newsletter. That has to be an intriguing, fun newsletter. I can only wait to read it.
Filled with information.
Is there anything else you want to share with our audience that we didn't talk about yet?
No, I think we hit a lot of bases. I just want people to understand that they should look forward to growing older. And growing is the important part of that. You're not just getting older. You need to grow. You need to be transformed as you age. You need to continue to learn, take advantage of opportunities, step outside your comfort zone, do new things. That's what's going to make you vibrant, relevant, and stay curious.
I love it. Well, Helen, thank you so much for being on here with me. I loved having you. This was so much fun.
Any day, I'm free.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.